What is up, guys? Sente here, YouTube channel dedicated specifically to beginner and intermediate players to help them get better at the game. So in a beginner and intermediate player's endless quest to improve, we start to learn about Fuseki. We learn about direction of play. We learn about how to attack, how to build up a framework, how to establish strong bases, how to go about the game in an intelligent and sophisticated way. Then there are the games where we just throw all of that out the window and try to kill something huge. Maybe we were really ticked off that day and someone just decided to enter our Moyo like, a giant jerk. We put 3 stones there. That's ours, clearly. In any case, it has now become our goal in that game to kill or be killed. And even though that's the wrong way to play, technically, more consistently you need to attack to strengthen yourself, to build territory, yada yada yada. It's so much fun. It's basically like flirting with the dark side of the Force. Yeah, I mean, sure, you might end up being a withered, no-legged, no-armed, half-machine man that has to use an oxygen tube to breathe, but you can shoot dark lightning out of your hands. That's awesome. In the spirit of that, I would like to give you guys a video on one of my proudest kills against a 1Q on Taigem. And hopefully you guys can learn some tips on how to kill your own dragons or just how to attack in a more solid way to keep all of your groups in check. Without any further ado, let's get started. Alright, so this is the situation that we had on the board right now during this game. I was playing black in this game. So we can see that white, if I just, do a run-of-the-mill count, that's like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, it's like 20, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 2 to 4, 6, 6. This is like 30. This is like 50 points. So white has like 60 points of solid cash. More or less solid cash. I, however, have like 25 points of solid cash, which means like I need 30 points to come out of this corner, which I suppose wouldn't be the hardest thing in the world to do. But I was feeling really feisty that day, or just as usual, and he decides to do this. And I'm like, I want to kill this. I want to really badly. And so I decide to, first I tried to play a little bit smart and try to just like lead it and try to make territory. But eventually it sort of just evolved into I want it all dead sort of thing. You know how it goes. First thing you want to look at is, can it make a base easily? Second thing you want to look at is, does it have an escape route? Third thing you want to look at is, how weak are my stones? Can they be counterattacked? So I'm not going to lie to you, trying to capture a giant dragon is like gambling. You can do the best you can do, but if you make one wrong move, he's going to have 2 eyes, and then everything you have is going to die, and the game is going to go. It's relying on, honestly, I think luck's a big part of it. You need your opponent to not see the right things, but you also have to be on top of your game at every move. First thing that I looked at here was like, okay, these 2 stones are looking pretty sad. He can't make a base easily. A 1-space extension on either side isn't going to get him much. But he could potentially use this Aji of cutting, get an undercut, maybe come over from this thing. So the first thing I wanted to do was seal off any friends. Seal off the hope for getting help from any of his friends, or at least make it a lot harder. Now he's got to either run or try to make a base, both of which, if I was playing the right way, I could just profit from, but since we're trying to kill, that's sort of what you want. You don't want him to have any escape routes, so you can simply focus on popping out his eyes as he tries to make them. I don't know why he did this. He's trying to, I guess, stir up Aji for this group, but this group is very much okay. He doesn't worry about this stone at all. If I was him, if white wanted to simply just be okay here, let's say I responded, or actually let's take it back and move. I guess we can't take it back and move. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. So like, there's always this, right? Everyone knows about this. Going from the crosscut and black extends to here. You might even be able to get away with this. And now this doesn't really work because that's Atari, right? And if black tried to make this pop out this eye, now we have this, which is very strong. And so now black's entire bottom is basically gone. So really a lot of easy ways, especially with the 3-4. If you guys don't know about this, this is very invadable if you have a stone here. Or like stones in the close proximity. Totally open. But for some reason, he decided that, oops, preview, he was going to go there. I don't know why. So that gave me the opportunity to try to solidify myself, right? I want this to be solid. I don't want to get counterattacked. And put pressure on this stone. He still has some cut shenanigans, but we see that he decides to jump out instead. And so this is the first signal of danger. This is when I started like smelling blood almost, you know what I mean? Because what he's saying with this move is that he thinks he'll be okay, and he doesn't have to settle himself quickly. And he wants to put a counterattack in typical Taijin fashion on this group. And so I'm like, okay, dude, game on. I'll cap you. And just to see if he decides to, you know, if he still wants to try to make this crosscut shenanigan thing happen. What I was thinking was he might make it. I'll make the trade where he lives in the corner, but I'll get to kill these two stones off, which would be nice for me. And what this move also does is it sort of corrals white into the edge of the board where my stones and also where I have more help. You want to lead him away from his friends. That's the idea. And he decides to poke, which to get more strength, I guess, for the oncoming battle. I think this is a little too far away. I don't know how much these stones could help. I didn't really foresee how much they could help, but now he tries to make shape for himself. So he's not trying to sacrifice these two stones to get in the corner. He wants this group to live. Now we get to sort of the next sort of principle of like trying to kill something on a large scale. Is you want to solidly put pressure and pop out the eyes as you get them. Remember, one eye is okay, two eyes not great. So you want to poke at his shape points. Sort of something like this. Doing this prompts a response. And so now he needs at least two moves here. Now he needs one. If white can get this group, or this point right here, then he does have one eye, right? But now he doesn't. He doesn't have the eye anymore because I decided to pop it out. And I took a gamble that my stones and my help on the outside and my fighting ability would be enough to basically see me through this. He does not respond passively, which makes sense. But I had friends to run to, no matter which way he decided to try to surround me. So this was, I think, a successful eye poke. He has to mind a shape, right? That's very important. And now I have to defend my stone. Remember, getting Ataris, getting like free little things, you can't leave anything undefended when you're trying to capture something on a large scale. It's extremely hard to kill a big thing that's just trying to live, which means everything you play can't have weaknesses, basically. I sort of was looking at, you know, what happens if white pushes here? You know, what am I going to do? This is very strong because, you know, I can just follow white out here. And now I'm going to essentially be connected up to my guys. And even if I'm not, if white decides to try to keep me split, now I've got this. So white would need to, at some point, spend a move connecting. That's me. I'm sorry. White would need to, at some point, spend a move connecting, in which case I can be okay here. His eye is still not completely made. My corner looks okay for now. Everything is sort of, I thought, was okay. So let's go back to the game. We need to make that strong. He decides to try to connect up to his stones in a way, loosely, this way while putting pressure. So I solidly defended. Now, this is another important thing, right? If you're trying to kill or really capture a dragon, you don't want to leave weaknesses and you don't want to try to leave free moves because that can just put you in a whole world of hurt later, right? So if I decided to do this, this is a forcing move. I need to defend here. Then maybe this a forcing move. And now, like, we look at this as a forcing move, and all of a sudden, white's almost got an eye. He could potentially get another one if I don't play right. He could cut through. So you want to minimize your forcing moves, if possible. So I decided to play solidly because it does the same thing. It saves my group, but there aren't really any Sente moves. Like, oops. Like, sure, like white can't do this because I'll immediately cut him, and then the ladder works for me, right? The only thing white could really do, if I can go back here, is do this. And honestly, that's fine. I could, threaten that, come out this way. It's a huge bulky shape. It's looking great. Okay, so let's go on to the game. He tries to connect to his stones, which, I mean, seems okay, but the thing is these stones don't have a base. This is going to be really hard still to make eyes. He's going to need to counterattack and capture something. So I decide to threaten the cut. He strengthens in a strong way with a bamboo joint. Just doing this doesn't put as much pressure on these two stones. So that was definitely a better move. Right? Now, I need to push because your stones need, again, I'm going to say this over and over, everything that you're using to attack this group needs to be as strong as it possibly can. If there's one weakness, your opponent is going to find it. Your dragon will not be captured, and you'll be really sad, especially if you're risking it all to try to capture something. So I figured extending would be a good way to put pressure and keep strong, and now I'm almost connected up to my other stones, which means there's even less to worry about. White drops down. I figure that the Hane would be okay in this situation because if white decides to cut, I've got this, right? Now I can cut here, and then that's Atari. So no worries there. Don't have to worry about the cut. Then that makes a tiger's mouth, so I'm all good. So I could Hane. He decides to Hane. Now, keep my shape good, keep myself strong. This is okay. He still doesn't, technically, he doesn't have any solid eyes yet. So no need to go crazy trying to poke stuff out when he doesn't have anything solid yet. Miai is another very important thing in the eye popping process, which you can see right now. It looks like I have two ways to take away his potential eyes, right? I can poke here. That's white's move. Scratch that. Let's say white, can you please, whatever. I can poke here, no eyes, right? Or I can simply start coming in here, right? Now there's no eyes anymore, because that makes this false, right? So just a very simple way. So we can see that there's no need for me to try to go popping stones in and getting myself the opportunity to be cut when there's still ways for me to take out one of his potential two eyes. Okay, he's going to descend down. Now I'm starting to look for forcing moves that will pop out his eyes and keep me safe. And calculating and reading is huge when you're trying to do this. You need to make sure that you're okay no matter what white decides to do. So now I'm saying, like, I want to try to remove his base and not let him get any eyes in this direction. What's a good move to do that? This I found because if white tries to simply go under, then I can just come on out, which is great, right? And now we see that whole dual threat thing again, right? If white goes here, I cut. If white plays here, I surround. Perfect. And then he doesn't have any eyes. He's got this one, but keep in mind, now he's cut off from there, which means he needs to waste a move, keeping cut, and then I can pop out his other eye. So you see, like, the reading and the things you have to think about when you're figuring out how to play these moves. Also, and then as we know, like if white tries to come over this way, we see this, and this is actually a really cool variation. Black can just keep following white down, right? Then this becomes very strong, except it needs to be one more move. Scratch that. This. So now that's threatening black playing that point that I just played. White tries to play an Atari. No problems. Ataris, they don't matter. And now black has to worry. Now this can be fake, right? So just seeing like I can pop things out, I'll generally be okay. It's very important. He decides to defend this way, which I'm like, okay, totally fine. I'll just leave. I'll just leave. Thank you very much. Now you have to think, and I read out this variation too, actually. So, you know, black needs to get these two stones out, and a very dynamic way to do that is to be to cut right now. And remember, we're thinking about two threats at once. When fighting, you need to think about two threats at once. If you don't have two threats at once, your opponent can just respond to the one threat, and you're fine. It's the same principle as two weak groups, right? If you have two weak groups, you can't defend them both. Likewise, if your group has two weaknesses, you can't defend them both. This cut showed that he has now two weaknesses. He's got the Atari right here, the potential Atari of this one stone. He also has these three stones that are not connected yet. Whichever one white decides to fill, I'll take the other. He filled that one, so I will go down and capture those stones. And just like that, we have a good capture, and his group still doesn't have any eyes. So far we're doing good. Now white tries to escape. And now we go to the next tip for capturing dragons is to don't just contact onto these stones. When they try to like ladder out and escape, you want to net them from a distance. So I didn't play something like here and, you know, give white the opportunity to counterattack to something like this, right? We have to keep in mind everything. So this move was nice because it did those. The first thing I said, remember how I needs to keep cut off from his friends? This helps to do that. It also shows that like, where is white going to get any eyes? Like, it will take white like 5 consecutive moves to make an eye in this space, which I can stay, and I'm strong over here. I have no problems. And now we get to the really nerve-wracking part of trying to capture a dragon, because your opponent will try anything and everything to live, no matter how crazy or complicated it seems. And that's what makes killing dragons so unbelievably hard, and when you do it, it makes it so exciting. He's going to threaten to cut my groups apart and, you know, make some mischief. First rule is just stay connected. You can't let your things get cut off. Everything needs to stay connected. But now we notice another weakness is this group of stones. And this is so easy to have happen to you. If you're trying to capture a dragon, the thing ends up being... This happened in a game that I just played today. I was almost capturing this giant mass of black stones. Then I realized the thing I was using to capture got surrounded, didn't have enough liberties to win, ultimately died. And so you need to keep track of all of your bases. So I decided to get strength for my group, also threaten to cut these two stones off from the rest. So white obviously defended that. I read out that if I did this, white's cut was ultimately okay because I wasn't in Atari yet and I can just fill in. I'm with friends. It's totally fine. Also, I would be threatening that point right there. So no worries. I could do this. White keeps connected, right? Otherwise, I could surround white's 3 stones. I have to stay connected. Now I didn't want any weird, because now that threat that I showed you before with that other sequence doesn't exist because white is connected now, so I want to make sure that I'm as strong as possible. White's trying to get some shape. I'm not going to let him cut off his access to his friends. I'm still strong here, no worries. We can calculate that if white tries to push through. Once again, we have the 2 weakness problem. If white takes this one, I'll go here. So we're fine. White goes down, stay connected. Now notice, as soon as white played that whole 2 weakness problem I showed you is not a thing anymore. White could totally cut my group off. If I decide to, you know, try to do something else weird. I don't know. Right? Now I don't have an answer to this. Those stones are all dead now. So you need to on the alert, on your toes, every single move. So I connected here. White's trying to get to friends. Once again, keep him away from his friends. Don't want him getting friends. Trying to kill dragons, friends are bad. And now here was sort of the deciding factor. This group on the top is the only thing that's in question right now. If I can make this alive, there's no way white will keep its eyes. It'll die. It doesn't have any eyes yet still. Still has no eyes. So the next thing, wow, I'm really pale. I just noticed that. Hold on. I try to fix the lighting. Oh, a little better? Whatever. Okay. Anyway, what was I saying? I need this group to be alive. But the problem is, I was sort of looking, and if I just passively responded here, there are so many horrifying things he can do to this group right now. Right? Just a very simple variation like this. Now all of a sudden, look at what's happening. The other thing about dragons is that they have a notoriously huge amount of liberties because you're chasing them around the entire board, which means that your groups don't just need to have liberties, they need to be unconditionally alive. Otherwise, there is no way that I'll be able to fill in this group's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 liberties with my 6, right? Like, your stones need to be unconditionally alive. So there needs to be, I need to calculate or figure out some more aggressive way to respond. The best way is to use the Aji. As you know, as your opponent's trying to struggle, he's going to create a lot of weak groups, inevitably. You need to be able to capitalize on that. This threatens to eat this one stone and get eye space. It also threatens to activate the Aji over in this area. And we'll see how that works out in a bit. White tries to get some strength. I need a bit of a base if I'm going to try to live with this group. I also realized that, there's not much I could do right now with this because of this Atari. So it's not really the right time. Actually, it totally is. Well, not really. Not really. Because if black were to do this, then white could make a ko for it. And why make kos, right? Try and have a ko-less thing here. Because white will win that ko, because he needs to. In any case, I decide to defend. He tries to cut through. I defend at the same time giving one more Atari, right? I get a free Atari here if he doesn't do anything. That's just one more little tool that I can have that I can add to be alive, right? He pokes out my eye. It's starting to feel really dangerous right now. I need to fill that in because my groups can't stay connected. And now he's threatening to take out my base, sweep out my base. And now is the time to activate this Aji that I was talking about because it's sort of that Miai thing that's the theme. The theme of dragons is dual threats, right? Either living or dying with dual threats. If white takes one, I'm going to take the other. White decided to neglect solidifying this center and go for my base. So I'm going to go for the center. First, I just make a few forcing moves. Keep in mind if white decides to Tanuki, right? This is great for me. So I'll just pop out the eye and get a free forcing move in. White solidifies. I go down, make one more threat to try to make a base here. White's going to go down as well. Now I activate the Aji. So this is a really interesting move. I was looking for a lot of different ways that I could use these forcing moves to do my do my dirty work. And once again, saying the same thing, dual threats, right? Pause the video for a second and try to figure out what dual threat, what I'm threatening besides just linking up to here. Like what I would do if, white did something else. The answer is, after you pause the video, this Atari, well, with white Tanukis, right? What I'm aiming at, this Atari is huge. That captures the center stones because when they were strong before, now they're not. So if white decides to fill this in, I've got this Atari, right? White can take. I don't care because now those are captured. This is all alive now. This is dead. I figured this was fine. I could live with this somehow, some way. I decided to take a gamble on that, to be perfectly honest, because there's just too many things to try to keep track of. White saw that, decided to try to combat. I had to stay connected. Unfortunately, it still doesn't really work. I do the Atari, and white sees that if white just, takes my stone, I will capture. So white decides to do this, but it still doesn't work. Still captured. I've captured these center stones. Everything is okay now. And actually, everything is more than okay because now this got connected up here, which is connected to over here. Everything is perfect. Now, white has basically said, okay, I need to kill this to even sort of maybe stay in the game, right? At this point, I'll make a concession. At this point, I've basically killed this entire thing. I don't care about, 4 stones, 2 stones over here. I just need this group to live. So just read out a little bit some of the forcing moves, right? This is just relatively easy to try to look at. He's just grasping at straws at this point. Sure, white could capture those, but that's a wasted move because now I have, oops, flux is on. Because now I have a way to make a base as well as capture those stones. Everything is perfect. He's trying to cut through one more time, like a last-ditch effort to try to get something happening. But as we saw, this is the principle of 2 threats. Again, what's his goal? Right? We got to think about what his goal is. His goal is to try to capture this left group now, to try to cut it off. And so when picking which side I needed to defend from, right, I knew that defending from this side was bad news bears because here, right, needs to defend. White gets this, and now we have a maybe to kill it. Not good. I need to make sure that I was alive here. Good thing there's all this Aji that white left behind. So I saw that I can do this because once white cuts, I can have one more forcing move here. And now I can cut these 2 stones off from everything else because that cut point was left. We can see that white can't do anything about this Atari because it's 1 move away from being captured. If white tries to descend down, that's Atari. There is no way to get out of the Ataris, right? So no matter what, even if white wants to try to strengthen first, I mean, where's it going to go? Once this is happening, that's dead too. So always look for these dual threats, right? That's the key to killing dragons, dual threats. Actually, dual purpose moves are kind of key to go in general. Revelation. Anyway, so we're going to just see white try to do something. Oh, that's pre-play. Oops. So white's trying to just do a little bit more stuff. Here white is saying, well, I'm going to try to kill the bottom now, which he totally may have been able to. But he decided, for some reason, that this stone was more important. I don't really know why, but I made shape. I'm alive on the bottom. Now I'm connected. Don't need to worry because these are always under wraps to capture anytime I want. A few more forcing moves I take, and now white resigns. This entire dragon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 32 stones. I think that's a record. A 32 stone dragon. Plus the 6 stones here. And I managed to keep everything alive. These 3 are dead. This is alive. I was so pumped for this. And actually, the people on TieGem leave so many weak groups. Like, I beat another 1Q in sort of a similar way. He was actually winning, but his corner was dead, so I killed it. Or his corner, he left it open for me to kill, so I did it. Really interesting. I hope that this sort of helped people wondering, how do I chase someone over the board if I just want to turn to the dark side and just capture stuff and have fun with it? Because this game is supposed to be fun. You got to play the way you want to play. And if you are white, or in this case, if you are running, always be on the lookout for mistakes your opponent is making. Is he leaving a weak group? Is he not doing dual threats? Can you make eyes when you can make eyes? Always be on that hunt. It is much easier to live with a dragon than to die with one. Unless you're in a really bad position, you just made a horrible invasion. But I hope this helped. I had a lot of fun playing this game and making this video. So go crazy, guys. Have fun killing your dragons. Though I don't condone that because dragons are awesome in real life. Kill go dragons, not real dragons. Yep, that's about all I want to say about that. Anyway, have a great night, and I will see you on the grid.